This is a quick walkthrough of how to set up a workspace with the Atlassian API using its OpenAPI definition, and so that you can generate collections for mock servers, documentation, and other purposes. So I've got a workspace set up here. I don't have any APIs in here yet. I'm going to go ahead and create an API called Atlassian. I'm going to say version 1. We'll clean that up later. I'm using OpenAPI 3 and YAML. I'm going to select a file. So I've got Atlassian right here. And let's go ahead and create the API. So should have an API in here. I've got a definition, the whole YAML surface area of the API. I'm going to go ahead and choose to generate a collection, and I'm going to call this reference documentation. I may create other collections with other types for other types of purposes, little workflows and kind of DevOps stuff. But right now, I just want to create a reference documentation collection. So I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. It'll take a little bit. It's a pretty good size OpenAPI to work with. While that's working, the reason why we're using the OpenAPI is the central truth of this, and I'm going to use it to generate a new collection specifically for reference documentation, and it should show up here in a little bit. So it's successfully created. It's just got to refresh and sync, and so that I can have one complete reference of the Jira platform for Atlassian, so that I can share that with people, and it has a run in Postman button and everything. And so this OpenAPI will remain the central truth of it, but then I have this complete reference collection that I can use to document this. So all I've got to do is hit publish docs, and it's going to load in a new browser window here. And I can manage different versions of it. When I have an environment, I can include an environment. I could do a custom domain, and I could also add it to the Postman API network. I'm not going to add this one because I'm using it for kind of internal and purposes. But if you wanted to be able to add it as a template or be able to work with it in the network, you could. So I'm going to go ahead and hit publish, and then I get a URL for pretty standard 3-page or 3-column documentation that gives me a URL here that I can share with anyone. Now it's got some folders. It needs kind of cleaning up, but you can see what it pulled from the OpenAPI definition is pretty robust. It's got a lot of the data it needs. Just needs a little cleaning up on the folder level to be able to have it make a little bit more sense. But there's the full API. You got docs. Now I can share this URL with anybody that I want. So I've got this reference documentation collection because this OpenAPI has schema and examples, I'm assuming. Looks like it. So yeah, looks like we've got schema for everything. So since it's got JSON schema, I also want to generate a collection for a reference mock, so I can actually make calls without actually calling the Atlassian API. So I'm going to again generate the collection here, which will take a little bit because it's pretty robust. I'm going to call this reference mock. I don't have an environment, but I want it to go ahead and save the URL of this mock server that creates. So it's going to create an environment once I hit generate. I do want to make this private, require an API key so that I don't use up my number of calls I can make on a mock server by someone publicly hitting it. So I'm going to go ahead and create mock server, and because it's pretty robust, it takes a little bit to generate the mock server, because there's 378 individual paths as part of that, so it's pretty robust. Well, while that's running, I'm going to go ahead and go grab my Postman API key. And I'm going to do that off screen so you can't see my key. All right, so it looks like we got one there. And so again, it'll take a little bit for the collection to work. Now, the reason I'm going to have my two separate collections is I can have my reference docs and have details in there that for my docs, and then I can have my mock server and I can have details, examples that are specific to making mock requests to it, and then I basically have a self-contained mock sandbox for this. I'm not going to be able to make calls because I don't have. Oops, let me select the right environment. Then I actually won't get that. So here, see the base URL is your domain Atlassian.com. Where's my mock server? Oh, see, it didn't generate the right name, so I'm going to have to edit that real quick. And I'm going to go with base URL, and we'll see how that looks. Shouldn't get an error, but I'm guessing, yeah, we're getting a 404 not found. Oh, there's that mock server. Might just take a little bit for it to spin up, but basically I've got a self-contained mock server for it because there's JSON schema in the OpenAPI definition. It's going to have sample examples for each of these. All you got to do if you want to make them more robust is click on each request and see there's 3 examples here. You can actually edit those examples and what should get returned. So you're able to actually manage that mock server. So I've got a workspace. I've got an OpenAPI for the Atlassian cloud platform. I've generated 2 collections, a reference documentation that I can share as a URL, and I got a mock server. Now I can start creating collections to do other things, start doing some sort of DevOps automation if I want, and it just gives me a nice little workspace to be able to work with the Atlassian API.